The Washington Wizards have agreed to send Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors for Jordan Poole and 2 future draft picks.
I'm not doing this reaction without a haircut, so I'm gonna go get a haircut. All right, bro. So I got a haircut. Let's talk about Chris Paul. I've recorded this video 5 different times. I'm just gonna record this one, so it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Appreciate all y'all support. But as a Warriors fan, this one was very, very hard to take on the chin. The one day I'm not on Twitter, I'm at work trying to earn an honest living while funding my content creator ambition. I'm at work, my friends call me, they break the trade to me. It's not Shams, it's not Woj, it's my friends, Derek and Tony, who were on the last podcast. They literally call me and they tell me Chris Paul is the Golden State Warrior. I laugh. I think it's a troll. I don't think it's serious. They keep telling me it over and over and over. So I pull over, I open up Twitter. I see a lot of messages, a lot of DMs talking about y'all traded Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole. I see one DM that has a bunch of laughing emojis from a friend of mine who is one of the biggest trolls on this planet. And I realized we might have actually traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. I'm reading the trade package, and we not only trade Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, but we throw in picks to also get Chris Paul as well.
Why God do I gotta suffer?
And it bothered me to the fullest degree that we did that. Every year for Golden State, while Steph Curry is on that roster, is a must-win year. Every year is title or bust. And this last season was a straight-up bust. We were 11-30 on the road, one of the worst road records in NBA history, probably, and especially one of the worst road records of a team that just won the championship the year before. Steph gets hurt twice during the season. Andrew Wiggins misses a huge chunk of the regular season. Klay Thompson is still trying to rehab and get himself back into shape. Draymond punches Jordan Poole. Comes out with a mini documentary day 1 of the regular season about it. And ever since that point, Golden State's vibe and mojo isn't exactly the same. And our answer to all of that is trading Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. I am livid. Before you guys go to the comments and you tell me about Gifted, they traded Jordan Poole from a salary perspective because the CBA. Listen, I have a video that's coming real soon about the CBA. So I understand the implications. I understand what it means to be over the second apron and how that limits your flexibility. I get all that stuff. But that does not change the fact that you traded Jordan Poole straight up and assets straight up for Chris Paul individually. There's no other value coming in. Is Chris Paul for that one expiring so you can get off the 4 years of Jordan Poole. My issue is the talks of trading Kuminga and Moody. You could have packaged those 2 players with Jordan Poole's contract, and I feel like you could have got some real deal value back for doing so. Because as bad as Jordan Poole was in the playoffs, I don't think his value was that criminally low. But if it is, I'll shut up. I'll take my L. I guess we'll accept it. But to have Chris Paul on this roster raises a lot of questions in terms of play style, health, durability, and also what else are we going to do to improve this roster? The main problem with this team last year is we could not play any lick of consistent defense throughout the entire regular season, especially on the road. We were small. The IQ to not put teams on a foul line was really hurting, and turnovers were a bad thing. Chris Paul absolutely will help the turnovers coming off of the bench because he plays a different style of basketball than what Golden State is accustomed to. But the trade-off with that is while he might limit turnovers with his play, he also is only valuable to me when the ball is in his hands. I think off the ball, Chris Paul last year did not show a lot of strong traits on the Suns. And I feel as if the ball is not in his hands, how valuable or how useful is Chris Paul going to be when he's on the floor outside of being, I guess, a secondary passer? When, in my opinion, his main value comes from having the ball in his hands and being able to make those primary decisions, which off the bench, you can argue he will have the reins to do so. But ultimately, I'm pretty sure they're going to want to see lineups that feature Chris Paul and Steph. But when you do that, is Draymond on the court? Because Draymond and Chris Paul really do the same similar type of role in terms of not being the primary scorer, but being the person that helps facilitate in spots and gets people the ball. There's going to be a lot of nasty lineups if Chris Paul and Draymond are featured on the floor together, because the defense is really going to treat Draymond and Chris Paul as non-spacers. And this is without me even mentioning the center position, where we might have Kevon Looney playing, who is also a non-spacer. It just really cripples the offensive productivity. And even on the defensive side, if you really think about it, if Chris Paul is playing with Steph and Klay, which would be potent offensive weapons for Chris Paul to find as a facilitator, you now have a very, very concerning defense. Because you have Steph, Chris Paul, and Klay. There are so many chinks in the armor of the Golden State defense with that specific lineup out there, with the size severely lacking, the athleticism from all three severely lacking. It's going to be free pickings. And to me, that's not winning basketball for how the Warriors want to play. To be fair, the Golden State roster is not complete. It's still early. Free agency is still there. There's a couple things that they can do. But essentially, with the way the money looks outside of Draymond re-signing his contract and Klay potentially getting another extension either this offseason or next, the workings of this roster is just not complete. So it's hard for me to have a full grade on it. But in terms of this upcoming regular season, if we operate under the assumption that they keep Chris Paul and they maybe add one more veteran presence during the offseason, it's still going to be very similar to the team from last year, except you do have Chris Paul as another veteran presence in the locker room. You have year 3 of Kuminga and Moody, I'm pretty sure, and they get a chance to play through more mistakes. I would hope they get to play more, because in this last season, they had a lot of great moments during the regular season, but they had guys like Anthony Lamb playing over them in spots, and the fan base is kind of divided on Anthony Lamb's value. But when push came to shove, Anthony Lamb did not see playoff minutes. And in my opinion, if you want to have any chance of having some type of successful postseason run, you have to get those guys involved. You have to get those guys even more reps so they can bear those fruits in the playoffs where it matters most. And with Chris Paul on this roster, again, from a leadership standpoint, fine. If you want to say that will add things, cool. But the versatility from a player like Chris Paul is just not there for me, at least for what the Warriors want to do. I thought the answer for this offseason would be to create a build where you have a bit more length, a bit more defensive versatility, and a bit more stronger spacing. And Chris Paul doesn't really offer or provide those things, but he can provide some more stability coming off of that bench as the point guard presence. It's just hard for me to visualize Warriors closing lineups where Chris Paul is closing. It's just very, very hard, because it's just a lot of athletes in the league, and having a small lineup that features Chris Paul and Klay, the defense just seems untenable. I'm going to try to reserve judgment, but I'm telling you, my initial reaction, I'm not high on this trade. I'm really, really not. I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm going to still watch the games. I'm going to still support. I'm going to still see what I can do to have fun with basketball and things of that nature. And I'm going to try to get over the disdain that I have for Chris Paul. I really, really will. But I'm not happy about this trade. And I feel bad because Jordan Poole is a player that works hard. He was put in a lot of compromising situations last year, and I don't think that he's this bad NBA player that can't have a bounce back season. I was actually hoping that this could have been the season he could do it, so we could A, either have better success as a team, or B, build up his value through year 2 to flip him for a bigger return the next year. And unfortunately, both of these things were not capable of happening because we traded him. So it is what it is. But overall, those are my thoughts on the Chris Paul trade. Let me know down below how you feel about it. Do you think the Warriors got better or worse from this trade? Let me know. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next Gifted Upload. Podcast for Gifted Hoops is going to be dropping this Thursday, where we'll be breaking down the Porzingis trade and the Marcus Smart to Memphis deal a lot more in depth with some Celtics and Grizzlies fans. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate all the support that y'all give me. We're almost at 600 subscribers. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. But man, I am very livid right now, y'all. For real. But peace.